Hello and welcome to Maltbox, the non-chill filtered whiskey blog. I'm Andy and this is Whiskey Review number 94. What I have for you today is something quite special. You might already be able to see the top of it. That's because it comes in the form of this. Oh, get my head out of the way. The Glen Scotia 14yr Old Tawny Port finish for the 2020 Campbeltown Malts Festival. Now, I might as well address the elephant in the room. Obviously, it didn't happen this year because of, well, this whole lockdown nightmare fiasco. But they still released the annual festival release, which is great. And I got hold of this a couple of weeks back, and I've just been waiting to review it because I wanted to be a few drams in, get a little bit of air in the bottle first. This follows last year's release, which was a rum cask finish, and the year prior to that, which was a ruby port finish. I have both of those. I have not actually opened those yet. I've opened this one first, so I've kind of done it in reverse order. But I heard good things about this, so I thought, why not complete the set, crack on, let's do it, get it. And yeah, so here we are. So this is a limited release, it's a limited edition. Alright, so this is not going to be around forever. Oh, what a noise. Now, with that in mind, and I might as well sort of like address it straight away, it isn't cheap. Alright, this is kind of at the top end of my whiskey budget. Because it costs £75 a bottle. Now, alright, I've got a fair amount of whiskey. I've got about 120 bottles at the moment, but I very rarely go up this high because it's 75 quid. Let's face it, is a lot of money. At the end of the day, it's not cheap. But a limited edition. It's 14yr Old. It's cask strength. It is natural colour. It is non-chill filtered. Now, Glen Scotia is a Campbeltown distillery, shockingly enough. So it sits alongside Springbank and Glengyle. Do you know what? I'll be honest, Glen Scotia 5 or 6 years ago was not a distillery that I would usually contemplate drinking. I had a couple of their expressions when they had the old god-awful cow branding with the Highland cows on. They were awful branding, and to be honest with you, the whiskey wasn't fantastic either. But since the rebrand and since they've basically taken a new approach and some new boots on the ground, they've really turned the range around. Their double cask, which is their entry-level bottle, is usually a bottle that I always have on the shelf because it's lovely. It is, as a couple of people I know in the whiskey Twitterverse describe it as, it's iron brew whiskey. It's lovely stuff. I love iron brew. So, back onto this. This bottle is bottled at 52.8%. A lovely pinkish hue there. I know. I'm still in the dining room because the builders, again, still haven't been back yet because of lockdown. So the lighting isn't ideal, but trust me guys, there's a lovely pink hue in there if you cannot see it. Now, this was initially matured in ex-American oak, and well, still American oak. It's always going to be American oak. I'll say ex-American oak. It's basically matured in American oak, and then finished for 6 months in seasoned Tawny Port casks. Oof. Right. Okay. So on the nose, I mean, it's high strength, it's nearly 53%. It's a little bit prickly because it's still at that high strength. I am going to add water in time, but on the nose I'm getting leather, lovely kind of fruit flavours like strawberry jam maybe, or blackberry jam. A little bit of smoke. What I should have mentioned, it is a peated expression, guys. So it's a peated dram. I mean, Glen Scotia do a bit of a mix. They do peated and unpeated, but I think, generally speaking, they do use a bit of peat in the mix. Oh, wow. Alright, yeah, there's smoke in there. A little bit of coal smoke, arguably. Honey. And it gets a bit ozone-y, sea air, sea spray, salty. Because Campbeltown is on the peninsula, you know what I mean? It's like a little, if you've ever seen a map of Scotland, so it's like this little bit going off. It's surrounded by the sea. Oh, lovely. Lovely, lovely nose. I mean, again, yes, it is a bit prickly, but it's cask strength, man. It's going to be. I can't remember, unfortunately, how many bottles there are, unless it tells me somewhere on here. I think this is the ultimate test for a bottling, really. If they don't tell it you on the box, then... I mean, this stuff like this, like number of bottles, isn't too bad, but I think key information should be on a box. Otherwise, you shouldn't be selling it, really, should you? So yeah, I'm not too sure how many bottles, but natural colour, non-chill filtered, cask strength, as it says there on the back, which is the Holy Trinity. On the palate. Oh my days, wow. Okay, it's intense. It is intense, but my God, is it well balanced. It is so well balanced. Again, those lovely, rich, red berry flavours. Arguably, maybe it's a little bit more tart than the strawberry that I mentioned on the nose. Maybe it's more raspberry and possibly, again, blackberry. Honey, again, massive amounts of honey. There is smoke, but you know what? It's not overpowering, it's playing a part. It is not particularly heavily peated. This is not as smoky as, for example, a cask strength Lefroy or a Kilchoman. The smoke actually dissipates relatively, I wouldn't say quickly, but in the right amount of time on the finish. The timing is very, very good. And timing isn't really something you talk about much with whiskey, is it? When it comes to actually drinking the stuff. But I suppose it follows a bit of a journey, just like the actual process does, doesn't it? Do you know what? There's a little bit of spice, a little bit of vanilla, a little bit creamy, actually. But again, I mean, do you know what? You can drink that at 52.8. Finish, again, very well balanced. It's warming, it's sweet, it's a little bit smoky. I'm going to add, and I've got a little bit left in there, so I'm going to add about a teaspoon and a half just to see how we get on. And I'm going to talk to you about something while I do this. And I know you're rolling your eyes. I would, if I were you. You might notice that I'm wearing this Maltbox t-shirt. And you know, I've got a bit of a chuffy badge about it, to be fair, because I think I mentioned in a previous review, in the Brookladdy review, I put out there whether you guys would want any merchandise, or you know, if you'd be happy for me to put a shop out there, and I've gone and done it. So I've basically got a Spreadshirt shop, and I will put a link to that in the comments section for you to check it out if you are so inclined. I mean, at the moment, it's obviously run by a third party. I've just got a couple of designs on there, so I've got t-shirts, I've got polos, sort of like smaller and cheaper items as well, like mugs and badges and stuff like that. There's a couple of random bits and bobs on there. There's like a mouse mat, I think, but I thought, why not, when in Rome? But yeah, I mean, there's loads of different designs to choose from. White, black. I've also, apart from this, you know, I've got things where it's like got a hoodie with it, and where it's like a little M on the front and then the full log on the back of the t-shirt. There's caps, etc. I have made it as cheap as possible because I can set the prices within a certain price point. They've got a base price, and I just basically top it up to what my cut is. So, for example, a t-shirt is $16.99, and you know, I mean, I don't get much out of that, to be honest. I get about £2 out of it, so the margins aren't particularly great, but I wanted to make it as, you know, affordable for you guys, because I get more of a kick of seeing people potentially wearing the stuff. I mean, you know, if you want to support the blog, then please do feel free to check it out. There is no obligation to get anything whatsoever. All the postage and everything is sorted out by them, so they ship it to you direct. So yeah, please do check it out. Have a look. If you like what I do, then yeah, feel free to buy a couple of bits or just a bit here and there and support a little bit to basically fund purchases like this a little bit, you know, in the future, so I can keep doing this for you. I am looking into the possibility of branded glasses, and there will be like this. There won't be Glencairns, I wouldn't have thought, and potentially coins, because I know coins are a big thing at the minute. But again, as I've mentioned before, the coins are a little bit of a big outlay. I mean, you know, we're talking not small amounts of money. Many of these. And I'd rather focus on reviewing whiskey for you guys first before outlaying a load of dosh on coins. But that's something I am thinking about. So again, yeah, please do feel free to go on there. Really appreciate all of your support already. To all of those of you that have been there from the beginning, midway, or even today, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for supporting the blog. I do it for you guys. I do it because I love your reactions. I love the interaction. I love the whiskey community. Whew, and breathe. Right guys, so that's had a bit of time now. So it's got a little bit cloudy, as you would expect from a non-chill filtered whiskey. The nose is softened quite a bit, to be fair. It's not as prickly, but you still get those really nice jam notes. You've got the honey in there, you've got a bit of buttered toast. It's quite sweet, a little bit rich as well. I mean, and one thing to remember, guys, right? I throw some tasting notes out there. That does not mean that they're right. That's just what I get. And everybody's notes are dependent on their experiences with flavours and foods and preferences and whatever else. I mean, to be honest, I do not have a great nose. I've got a big one, but that does not make it great, unfortunately. Otherwise, I'd be like an anteater. I'd be all over it. But, you know, I mean, it's one of those things. If I'm sat here and I'm saying, oh, I get strawberry jam, and you buy this and you say, what is he talking about? I don't get that at all. It's personal preference, you know what I mean? There's no right or wrong answer. And I think that's a very important thing for people who have just started their whiskey journey to remember. There is a lot of blogs out there. There are a lot of vloggers, such as myself. And, you know, we will be saying things like, oh, I taste Kaldiki olives from the southern tip of Greece. And everyone's like, what? Don't let that perturb you. Your palate and your nose will develop, your experiences will develop, but again, personal preference and experience is fine. It's all good. As long as you enjoy the whiskey, that's all that matters. On the palate. Right, okay, on the palate, that is the thing that is most noticeably changed by the addition of water. Still got a really nice mouthfeel. It's still got those lovely kind of berry flavours, jam, stewed fruit notes. It's still got spices. It's still got loads of honey. It really does have a lot of honey. But what it doesn't have as much of is smoke. The smoke has been very much toned down. Is it a bad thing? No, it's not. Is it better without water? I'd say they're about on a par. They're very different experiences, which is really nice. It is a very interesting thing to have drams that completely change with water, and for me, the palate really does. There's similarities, but there is nowhere near as much smoke or peat influence on that palate now that I've had water for me. The smoke comes back in a little bit on the finish. Alright. It gets a little bit bitter. There's a bit of oak influence, which, you know, given the various types of maturation, isn't a huge surprise. I suppose the one thing I get now, that I didn't necessarily prior to adding water, is Black Forest Gatto. because there's that bitterness there from like dark chocolate. There's that intense sort of like almost tart and sour red berry fruit, and there's a bit of vanilla and creaminess in there. Black Forest Gatto. What a lovely dram. And at the start of the review I was saying 75 quid is a lot of money, and it is. To me, it's a lot of money. To a lot of people, 75 quid is a lot of money, particularly in these very, very difficult times, and I hate phrases like that, but they are. You've got people that have been furloughed, you've got people that have lost their jobs, you've got companies that won't be around after this, and we've got to remember that. And whiskey is an indulgence, it's a pleasure, and it gives you the opportunity to get lost in something. It gives you an opportunity to spend time to yourself with new experiences, new flavours, experimentation, and it really does just take your mind off things. And sometimes it really, really does just help to sit down with a dram and just concentrate on it for a little while and just get to know it. And for me, do you know what? 75 quid, but I might buy another one of these. It's great, love it, really, really good. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Again, really, really do appreciate all of your support, all of your feedback, all of your commentary. Please do feel free to click that subscribe button. I will not beg you to do so, because I don't want to beg for subscribers. But please, if you are that way inclined, please do. I'm on Twitter at Maltbox, and if you're on Instagram, I've been doing a lot of live streams recently on there at Maltbox Whisky. And again, please do feel free to check the shop out. Thanks for watching. See you soon.